Hello, folks. This is Andrew Gilmore with another episode of Mostly Movies, Maybe Music. And it's been a long time since I've done one of these shows. I've just had other things happening in my life, other things I had to take care of, but we'll just call this the second season of the show today. And I have a great guest to start us off. And he's someone I've met a few times before, and his name is George Willeman. And George works for the Library of Congress, and his official job title is he is the nitrate film vault leader at the Packard campus in Culpeper, Virginia, and that means he's in charge of overseeing all the thousands of nitrate film prints that they have stored there. So that's a job he's been doing for more than 40 years, and so as you can imagine, he knows more about film history than most people because he's there working in the vaults every day with the original material. So I thought that would make him an appropriate guest for this show. And it took me a while to contact George, and we've had some issues there. But anyway, he's here today, long story short, and it's very kind of him to join me here today, and I'm sure we'll have all kinds of interesting things to talk about. So thank you, George. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure to be here, Andrew. I always enjoy bringing people up to speed on what we're doing here. I mean, there's only two of us here in Nitrate taking care of this collection. We don't get a whole lot of visitors, so it's
Yeah,
always nice to talk to the outside world.
sure. So, of course, I looked at other interviews you've done, and I know some of your history, but what I don't know is how you got started being interested in films in the first place. So, what started this whole passion for you?
My father, actually, my father was an art teacher, high school art teacher, and being a teacher, he was allowed to bring home a projector from school. So he would bring home 16 millimeter projector, and he would bring home 60 millimeter prints from our public library in Springfield, Ohio. And we would watch them in the living room on Saturday mornings.
Uh-huh.
So I still remember to this, and this was like in the early 1970s. And I still remember the first two films that he brought home. One was Laurel and Hardy in Busybodies,
Yeah.
and the other was a silent Our Gang film, the Sunset Limited. I guess Sunset Limited, where they build a train. So I was totally enamored of these, like 9, 10 years old, and began, trips to the library to get books on old film and what it was all about, and especially comedy films. And it just began to snowball. From one aspect of film, I learned about another one. Took out a book on foreign films, and by the time I was in high school, I was pretty well stuck in film world.
Yeah. I should interrupt for a second that Deb is asking to be admitted, so do I need to put her on camera and let her in here?
Sure.
Okay. Hello, Deb. She,
Hello, everyone.
hi.
Hello.
I should explain to the audience that Deb is just overseeing this conversation today because it is through the government, so somebody had to make sure that we behave.
And don't give away any secrets.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off camera, and I'm gonna mute myself so y'all can have a nice conversation.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so what was the progression then from, well, you mentioned the gradual progression, but do you want to go into more detail about,
Yeah. Well, after I graduated from high school and got into college, started college, well, I knew that I wanted to do something with film. And of course, first thing was be a filmmaker, make films. So where I lived in Springfield, Ohio, there is a college, Wright State University down in Dayton, that has a motion picture department, quite a notable one now. And so I started there in 1982, I think, um, getting a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in motion picture production
yeah,
with the idea that I was going to go out to Hollywood and get into the business. However, about the second year of that, my professor calls me in and says, because he knew by this point that I was very much into silent film and early film. He says, "How would you like to inspect film for the Library of Congress?" And I'm like, "Well, sure, but am I going to go to Washington?" He goes, "No, no, no. It's right across the road at Wright Patterson Air Force Base." So I got an appointment to go over there and went over and met Sam Tyler, who became my boss, and it was just amazing. These vaults, almost 100 vaults of nitrate film. Now I had never seen nitrate film before at that point, and here it was. And so I actually got a temporary position. It was like a 90-day job inspecting nitrate film for Library of Congress. And that kind of went on for a few years. It was the best part-time job you could have being in college. And, so I was mixing that between working for the library and going to school and getting my degree.
Sure.
So finally got my degree, and rather than heading out to California, I began thinking, this is beginning to look like um, it might actually turn into a career. And here I am, a person who is, who loves old film and silent film especially. And here I am working with one of the largest collections of early film in the United States, in the world.
Yeah.
So I stuck it out. And yes, eventually I was able to go full time. And this May will be 42 years
Wow.
working exclusively with this nitrate collection from Dayton, Ohio to Culpeper, Virginia. Because like
Yeah.
I like to say, we moved the film to Culpeper and I came along with it.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask you about your training when you started the job. How did you learn how to handle nitrate?
Basically, it was on the job training. It really was. It was coming on the first day. It was like, okay, come back here. Here's a can of film. You open it like this. You take it out. You make sure you don't put your fingers on the emulsion, and away you go. And it was a gradual process. We as we started, it was just in can inspection. It was taking the can film out, looking at both sides, and looking inside the can to see if there was decomposition, putting it back in the can, putting the lid on it, putting it back on the shelf. And then as I got comfortable with that, then they would start having me do roll throughs, and then they would show me how to, roll through the film on a rewind, which way to do it, how to hold it properly. Because one thing, and I always get someone complaining if I put up a picture of myself holding film without gloves on. Okay. I do not wear, normally, I do not wear gloves when I handle film, because if you wear cotton gloves and you're winding film, all you need is one broken sprocket to catch that glove and you've got a big rip.
Right.
So instead, you learn how to keep your fingers off the emulsion and only touch the base or let your fingers ride along the edges.
Right.
So that was that's how that works. Now, if I get something that's really decomposing and dusty and nasty, I will put on nitrile gloves. But that's a whole nother story, which we can talk about later.
Yeah. Uh, I forgot what my next question was, so maybe I can just jump around
Take
to
your time.
somewhere. Oh, I can. Yeah. Now I'm blanking, and I'm not supposed to do this when I'm on the air, but I'll jump around because I know you're pressed for time, so I was going to just jump around to different things. But here's a question that I guess only you can answer. And I mentioned in one of my emails that I'm working on a biography of Alice White. And first of all, are you a fan of hers?
Oh yes.
I
Haven't
would,
seen a whole lot of her stuff, but what I have seen, I really liked.
yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I know not everybody is, and even in 1930, not everybody was. But the first film I saw her in was Sweet Mama, which I don't know if you've seen or not.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay, then I guess you might not know the answer to my question, which is I know Warner Brothers put out a lot of her other early sound films, but that one is not out there. And I know there are a couple of prints of it out there, but for some reason it's never been shown on TCM or anything like that. It's just not out there. So,
Really?
do,
Well, it sounds like they actually. Let me see if I can do this while we're talking. Hold on one second. Can you still see me?
yes,
Okay, because I have obscured the screen here for a moment. One thing, and I'll have to find it. If I can find it, I will send it to you. We had someone lend us a little 3D roll. It's kind of like an early version of a ViewMaster that had her and her leading man from one of their films, and they had taken 3D slides of them.
yeah,
And I went and made like an anaglyphic version that you can you can look at, turned it into like a slideshow.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll have to find that and send it along. It's really neat
Yeah,
because you get to see Alice White in 3D.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I know there are at least two 16 millimeter prints of Sweet Mama that are out there, so I don't know why they've never done anything with it. And as I say, all for other surviving early talkies are on DVD and readily available, and that one
Yeah,
isn't. So I wondered.
that I mean, mainly that could mean that that as far as Warner Brothers is concerned, nothing that they own has survived.
Hmm.
Because there are lots of early Warner Brothers features that we don't have anything on, or we have less than first class material on.
Yeah, I was looking through old Facebook conversations in my research, and I actually found something from Ron Hutchinson, and he said that I believe the library. I think he said the library does have it.
Okay, let me. I'm looking it up here. That's going to take a couple moments. Go ahead. We'll come back to this.
Yeah,
Well,
we
let's
have other things
search.
to. I don't want to derail too much, but
Sure.
I guess one of the things I was going to ask you is, I think about the fact that I guess a lot of people wouldn't even know what a nitrate film is anymore. So, if you meet somebody and they ask you what you do for a living, how do you explain it?
Well, if they really want to know, I'll just tell them that nitrate film was the first major plastic used to make motion pictures. It was really strong. It was really tough because they needed something that could take a lot of abuse. They needed a film that could be run constantly, day after day, especially in the days of the continuous show, and then could be sent back and sent out again. And even though there was safety film, there was diacetate safety film, it was not strong enough to take the abuse of being run in big projectors hour after hour after hour. And nitrate was. And one of the reasons that nitrate lasted so long was because they couldn't come up with a safety film that could take the abuse until the early 50s when they introduced triacetate safety film, and that replaced nitrate. Because even I've got a little piece here. I mean, this
Hmm.
is nitrate film, and as you can see, there is no image left on it. Okay, it is
Yeah,
completely melted, but the film itself, you know,
yeah,
really strong. There's nothing really wrong with the film base. It's just that the chemicals, the nitric acid in the film has melted the emulsion.
right. I remembered what one of my other questions was, which is just I know you're working in the vaults pretty much every day. So, what's kind of a typical day at work for you? An example of something you would be working on?
Um, no such thing as a typical day, but a lot of it is the first thing we do when we come in, we check to see if any new orders have come in for preservation.
Right.
We get orders for preservation from several different avenues. One, there's just internal preservation, something that just needs to be done. And now we are mostly scanning. We have a little bit of film work being done, but that is the days of doing film prints or film negatives are quickly going away, I think. This is just
Yeah.
my opinion. Um, because because most people want when they're doing projects now, they're doing them digital. So we're
Right.
scanning everything. We're scanning at 4K, so we're getting a really good high quality image that if somebody wanted to, they could put back onto film. And I was like really skeptical of this until I saw them do that with a project we worked on. We did a reconstruction of the silent Captain Blood. I don't know if you've gotten to see that
Yes, I
yet.
did. At Capital
Okay,
Fest. Yeah.
that was from a digital master that they made a new 35 millimeter negative off of.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, the first time I saw that on the screen in our theater here, I couldn't believe it. It was
Yeah.
it was absolutely astonishing. So that
Yeah.
sold me on digital as a useful medium for film because if you need to, if it's a high enough quality digital image, it can be put back on film and it'll look great.
Right. So I guess that leads me into another technical question because I'm not a tech guy, but can you just explain the process of scanning a film into a computer? Because I don't really
Sure.
understand how that
Yeah.
works.
We have several different types of scanners. There are lots of different brands of scanners. We have one called a laser graphics, which are very popular. We also have a Scanity, and basically they all do the same thing. We load the film, and it kind of looks like a sideways projector. You load the film into the scanner, it goes into the reader and a lens array, and usually there's lasers or some sort of light source, and usually there's a red, a blue, and a green, and it'll do three passes to get the entire spectrum of color. Even if it's black and white, it'll still do the three spectrum, and then it takes that image, sends it into a computer, which then turns it into a viewable frame. And they can run anywhere from like, depending on the quality of the film and what kind of condition it's in, they can go very slow. They could probably go like 1 frame per second, or they can get it all the way up to like maybe 18 or 20 frames a second if it's in really good condition.
Yeah. Well, it is, when I think about it, I mean, you're getting the film to do something that it was never designed to do in the first place, so that is pretty astonishing to me.
And it's amazing. I'm always amazed at what they are able to scan, because just yesterday, on our national screening room, they put up this Lost Melees film that we came upon a couple months ago, Goose and the Automaton.
Hmm.
And the film was made in 1897. We think the print that we got is probably, 1899, 1900. So still, it's over 120 years old. And they scanned it. It took a lot of work, but they scanned it, and now everyone can watch it, and they can even download it from the Library of Congress website. A Melees film that has not been seen since early in the 20th century.
That's great. I'll have
Because
to
no
look for
other
that.
copies survive, as far as we know.
Wow. Yeah, so that's on the website?
That is on the library. Just go to loc.gov, and you can just open the search box, ask to search films, and put in Gugusse, Gugusse, and it'll come right up.
Yeah, I'll look for that. Um, I'm losing my train of thought again. Let me.
Sorry. Oh, while you're doing, let me see how we're doing with Sweet Mama. Hold on a second here. Oh, no matching record found.
Hmm.
So
Well,
we
that
do
answers
not
that.
have any. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I do know George Eastman has a 16, and the Wisconsin Center for Film and Theater Research has a 16, so it's out there. Anyway, yeah, that was just something for my research for my book, which probably most of the people watching this won't have much interest in that, but that was just for me. So thank you for answering that.
Sure thing.
Let me see. Let me check my notes. Oh, yeah, one thing that I've heard you mention in some of the other interviews I watched is that the library has the original negative for the Great Train Robbery, which was interesting to me. And
Yes.
I'm just wondering, who in 1903 was forward thinking enough to save the negative? Do you know?
Probably Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
It's in his collection. We have a collection that was found at the Edison Historic Site up in West Orange, New Jersey, when the National Park Service took over the site from McGraw-Hill Edison Company. They found this closet, excuse me, full of nitrate film, and they had no way of storing it. But the library at the time, the library was starting to get into film preservation, and they did have nitrate vaults. So they turned the nitrate film over to the Library of Congress, and we still have it to this day. And in amongst the different films, and there are films from the studio, of course, there are films of experiments, and there are newsreel stories of how great Thomas Edison is. And the negative of Great Train Robbery was kind of an interesting. That was actually one of the first things that I identified almost by accident when I was had just started out and was doing the can inspection. I got to do the Edison collection, which of course for me was really cool for being Thomas Edison, being a fellow Buckeye, that kind of thing. So I'm looking at this element of the Great Train Robbery, which is noted on the can as a dupe, because everybody knows the original negative of the Great Train Robbery wore out a long time ago. So I'm looking at it, and I don't know a whole lot about film yet because I'm just starting school. I know about my own collection at home of 8 millimeters. So I'm looking at this reel of film, and I'm like, that has a lot of splices in it. So I asked the lab to like just take a look at it and see what they thought, and they came back a day later and said that's the original negative. So, we'd had it for years and nobody had ever really taken the time to look at it because one thing is for the longest time there was nobody involved in the nitrate film collection who had any film knowledge. It wasn't until the 80s that they started hiring people in who understood film. And from what I've heard, early on, the thought was we can't have people who know film working with this because they'll steal it.
Hmm.
So luckily they got over that. Because once we started getting people in who knew film and knew what they were looking at and what to look for, we started finding all sorts of stuff buried in the different collections, and bringing it to the attention of our curators and our boss and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
whatever little part I had in that, I'm very happy to have done it.
sure. And speaking of things that you discovered, I should mention that I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm currently doing a series at our local library about pre-code films. So I guess this would be an opportunity for you to tell the Babyface story if you want to.
I knew you were going to bring up Babyface.
Well, I know you've talked
Oh
about it
yeah,
before, but
sure. Babyface is one of my favorite stories because it's one of those things that just I really has not happened again. We thought we had another one, but so far we haven't. We've never really found another one. Um, we were going to do a new copy of Babyface. I think somebody was just going to do a pre-code show or something like that, and our curator at the time um, saw that there were two negative elements in our system for Babyface. So he called me up and said, "Hey, just check those two elements, see if there's one that's better than the other. What's the deal? Why do we have two negatives on Babyface?" So I remember pulling them out, and I'm looking at the first reel of the first negative of reel one of Babyface, and it's like this big. Okay. I set it down. So I open the other can and I pull out the other reel one, and it's like this big. It's a good several hundred feet longer than than the first negative. And I'm like, hmm. And we start looking at the two. I start comparing the two negatives, and sure enough, there's footage in this one that's not in the other. Now, the original camera negative is the short one. The other one is a dupe negative, which would have had to have been made off of a print or a fine grain, which has not survived. And it is the uncut version. And that's when we started doing some research and discovered that this film, when Warner Brothers wanted to reissue it after the Hays Code and the Breen office and everything came into power, they were told to change it and take out some of the more salacious elements
right,
and the cobbler who spouts Nietzsche.
right.
So that was all taken out, and yeah, that was a really big deal to find that because it's a great tool for showing just the sort of the tenor of the time and how people felt about certain things and how far Warner Brothers was able to go or was willing to go to tell a story.
Yeah. I guess that's how I first got into pre-code because I remember when the Forbidden Hollywood DVDs came out, and
Yep.
I guess Babyface must have been the first pre-code movie that I saw, and I was probably a teenager then or something. I'm not sure how old I was, but I'm fascinated by pre-code films as we all are, and
Oh yeah.
that was what got me started. So I have to thank you for that.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I'm glad people have really gotten into that, and if it sparked the re-interest in these early talkies, then I'm all the more for it. Because yeah,
Yeah,
those are great. I mean, and we've got a lot of them that people have just not seen a whole lot of. I mean, a lot of not only Warner Brothers, but also Columbia did some,
yeah,
and we got some Paramounts, and then we've got a lot of states' rights ones that need to be seen too.
yeah. Yeah, I'm going through my notes much faster than I thought we would. So let me see. I have to keep things moving here. But I wanted to back up a little bit to
Mhm.
you were talking about studying film in college. Do you want to just expand on some of the things you learned there and how that contributed to your overall?
Um, well, interesting enough, a lot of, like I said, a lot of um, what I was being trained for, of course, was production. So I was learning editing and I was learning camera work and shooting and sound recording. And that actually has come in useful more recently, when I've been tasked with doing reconstructions of some silent features and stuff that are missing stuff, knowing how things go together and how film language works has been really helpful. But a lot of the other classes were, there were classes on there weren't a whole lot of classes on early cinema. I mean, there was a basic, film history class. And we had classes on Japanese cinema. We had a comparative class on Jerry Lewis and what was it? Jerry Lewis and Louis Buñuel,
Hmm.
which was one of my favorites. That was really bizarre. Um, so, but a lot of it just kind of got me into reading and actually looking at film, not just as a casual viewer, but also looking at the work that went in behind the film. What
Right.
is the director thinking? Why did he put the camera here? What is this all about? And that's come in handy when we were reconstructing things, we did a set for Kino on pioneer women directors.
Right.
And one of the major ones we worked on was Lois Weber.
Yes.
And when we got to her film Hypocrites, which we saved for last because it was a feature, and we started working on Hypocrites, there's only one print of the film that exists. It came to us from the National Archive in Australia. And so we assembled it the way the reels were, and we watched it over, and it was terrible. It didn't work at all. It was clunky. The story was telling was poor. The characters didn't make any sense. And we're like, we had done like 10 or 12 of her films by this time, so we knew what her rationale was, what her mise en scène was, and all that stuff. And this wasn't working. And it was just bugging the heck out of us because this was going to be a major piece of this set. So I always tell the story that we stopped working on a Friday. We were just so depressed. It was like this is awful. What's going on? And that Saturday, I had to mow the lawn, and I'm out on my mower running hypocrites over and over in my head. I'm like, what is wrong? What's going on? What's wrong? And all of a sudden, something hit me. And when we got back to work Monday morning, I sat down with Lynn Ann, my cohort, and I said, I've got an idea. This is really crazy. Let's take reel 3 and make it reel 1. And we did. And we started over from the beginning and we ran it, and it was like a puzzle. Everything just suddenly fell into place.
Wow.
The story worked, the characters worked, it made sense. And the thing we found so wild about all this is this film was not lost. I mean, it's been available to the public for like 40 years. And all these people, all these historians and theoreticians writing about Lois Weber and her non-linear editing style.
Hmm.
No, the reels were out of order.
Wow.
So the trick was, of course, we did this and then we had to prove it. You couldn't just change it like that. So we started digging in Lantern and we found a contemporary review that had a running synopsis, and it was exactly the way we had just put it.
Oh.
So when you see the Kino DVD or Blu-ray of it now, it is for the first time in modern era in the right order.
Wow. That's amazing that you figured that out. Yeah.
Yeah, it still amazes me. That was just dumb luck. I should mow the lawn more often.
Yeah, I have that set. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I guess after hearing that, I'll have to go look at it.
Oh, it's wild. It is when you look up the word allegory in the dictionary, there's a picture of hypocrites next to it. It's something else.
Yeah. Well, I guess these questions are a little bit random. They're not quite in order, but I just want to go
Oh, that's
back
fine.
to a couple of things we referred to earlier.
Sure.
And, well, I mentioned Ron Hutchinson, and I didn't know Ron very well, but I wondered if there were just any stories about him that you wanted to share with the audience.
I only got to meet him once. We talked on the phone a few times. I met him once. I can't remember. It was for a Vitaphone show. Duh. Very nice, affable person. His political stands kind of got him in Dutch with some people, I think.
I didn't know that
He
about
would
him.
take no for an I mean, very, very, very left, very left.
Hmm.
And it kind of bothered me a little bit because he would. Well, I don't want to get into it. He's
Yeah.
not with us anymore, and that's past. what he did for film was pretty amazing, and the creation of the Vitaphone project and
Yeah.
the discs. We have since his passing, we have taken in his collection of Vitaphone discs. Um, the greatest thing I think he ever did, we got in a print of a an early Columbia talkie called Princess Ladybug.
Right. I've seen that.
You've seen Princess Ladybug? Well, that was a mute print. It had no track on it. And but I seem to remember talking to Ron and him getting a copy of the disc from Australia. And so I called him up and he said, "Yeah, I do have that one, but it's broken in half and there's a piece missing." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Well," so I asked around here. I asked our curator and the boss and everything, and they said, "Well, if he'll send it to us, we'll see what we can do with it." So he sent it, and sure enough, it had like a pie-shaped wedge about like this missing from the disc.
Mm.
But we have this machine called Irene, which reads discs and is designed to make digital recordings of broken records. So they were able to read this broken disc, put it together, read the disc, which was cool in itself. Excuse me. But the amazing part is they had a software package that was able to interpolate the missing data from that wedge.
Wow.
So, and unless you know that, you can't tell when you hear the soundtrack. I can tell because I've heard it so many times. But yeah, so that the soundtrack for instance, Ladybug is from a broken record with a piece missing.
Wow. Well, it's like I
And
said,
that was and that
these
was
machines can do things that the original material wasn't even meant to do. So that's
exactly.
incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, the Irene has been an incredibly valuable tool, not only for us. There are several archives that have them now, and it because it ignores a lot of physical defects in discs, it is able to record things that have serious damage to them, and you can go in digitally because you end up with a big map of a soundtrack, and you can just take out defects, fix things, and get a nice recording out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. As I say, I was just acquainted with Ron a little bit, but obviously his contribution to preservation was huge, and I admire that.
Oh yeah, I honestly don't think we would have something like the Beau Brummels
Yes.
if it hadn't been for Ron,
Right.
which is just the first time I saw that's still one of my favorite Vitaphone shorts. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah. I've shown that to my film students. They love it. Yeah.
We showed it here a couple weeks ago, and the audience, I don't, first of all, I don't think they knew how to take it at first, but by the end of it, they were really enjoying it.
Yeah. I can see where it could be a little off-putting for the first minute or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who are these guys?
Yeah. Really. And I guess speaking of records, I guess since we have a little bit of time, we were talking about my record collection earlier, and
Hmm?
I know you're a collector, so just I wanted to talk about that a little bit. How did you start
Okay.
collecting?
Again, this goes back to childhood. I used to spend my summers with my mom's parents, the Waltons of all things, and the only entertainment device they had in their house, other than a black and white television set, was a Sears portable wind-up phonograph and a bunch of 78s,
Yeah.
which I played every day. I'm surprised my grandparents didn't just have a hissy because I would play these records. I loved that machine. I'd wind it up and I'd play these records. And that was my music growing up, were these old records from the 20s. And I still have that phonograph.
Oh
I
wow.
had sitting out in my library with all the other phonographs. But I get it out once in a while and play it because I had the head rebuilt on it some years ago, and it sounds great. It's just a little cheap pasteboard, well, wooden case with that black fake leatherette on it. But no, it still runs really great.
Yeah.
So so I got into as I got out on my own, I started collecting 78s, going to record shows, going to thrift stores. Lots of records found in Ohio because everything kind of funnels down into Ohio somehow. Um, And when we moved from Ohio, I had gotten rid of them all because I didn't want to move all that stuff. When I got here, we had a really nice thrift store in Culpeper, and one day I went there and found this beautiful Columbia Grafanola cabinet model for $90. and
Wow.
the arm was frozen. But it's like, man, I can figure that out. So I bought it, took it home. My wife was thrilled, and we got that. My brother, my cousin, who was a plumber in the Navy, figured out how to fix the tubing on the tone arm. It was swollen because it's pot metal. And that thing, just still to this day, that thing plays like a dog. It's an amazing machine. And I've gotten a few more since then. Um, so I tried to get a different wind up machine to play all the different kinds of 78. So I have the Columbia to play the early ones. I recently got a nice Brunswick from 1930 to play the electrically recorded ones.
Hmm.
I've got a couple of Edison home cylinder machines. I've got a couple other portables just because they were cheap and I've got them. And I've got a nice Victrola uh, consolette in the basement so I can play records when I'm downstairs working.
Hmm.
And like I said, I have 8 crates full of 78s, plus maybe 50 albums full elsewise, and a bunch of, and I don't know how many I have. I have a lot.
Wow. Yeah,
So if you're looking for any more, if you're in the neighborhood, come
no, I
on
don't
by.
need more. My shelves are
Oh,
full.
sure you do.
I've got a little over 3,000 now as it is.
Oh my goodness. I'll
Yep.
have to actually count how many I have sometime. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I keep a list so I make sure I don't buy duplicates.
Yeah. I I every once in a while get a duplicate of them, but recently, one of the thrift stores in town, the people know me pretty well, so whenever they get 78s in, they call me up, and they usually make me a deal. It's like it'll be an entire trunk full for $50.
Oh
And it's
boy.
like, okay.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sometimes people give me records and I just, like I said, I don't need any more, but people give them to me, so what are you gonna do?
That's one of the semi drawbacks of being a collector. Oh, you like cameras? Here's a camera, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you like old films? Here's an old film, you know.
Yeah, do you know Michael Camilla?
I know the name. I think I am friends with him on Facebook.
Okay,
I've never actually gotten to talk to him though.
oh, he's a great guy. I've known him for years. Yeah, he got me started collecting, so I guess I can blame him for all this. Actually, he was on this show. I interviewed him a little while ago, and
Oh, cool.
yeah. But yeah, he's a good guy. If you ever get a chance to know him more, then he's worth
Right.
knowing. Let's see. We burned through a lot of questions pretty quickly, and I know you're limited on time. What else did I have here?
Oh, we it's only 4:30. We got plenty of time.
Well, 4:34 according to my watch, but
But yeah, I was rounding down. Sorry.
yes. Anyway, that's something else I had in my notes is that you're also a screenwriter, and I have a regular listener to this show or viewer to this show who is a screenwriter, so I'm sure he'd be interested in knowing more about that. And so would I.
Okay. Well, there's I have a good friend who still lives in back in Ohio. His name's J. Todd Anderson, and he is a storyboard artist. We went to college together, and he has been the Coen brothers storyboard artist since Raising Arizona. He's storyboarded every one of their films since Raising Arizona, and we wrote screenplays together. We've written, I don't know, 5 or 6. But one year, I think around 2006, he really wanted to make one of our screenplays. So he decided to pick an easy one, which was about an enchanted mummy. Yeah, easy one. And it's called My Mummy. The Tomb is a Drag Without Her. You can look it up on IMDb. You can see the trailer. Excuse me. You can see the trailer on YouTube. You can see me in it because I play the villain. But he and I wrote this, and it was sort of a pastiche parody, whatever you want to call it, satire of mummy films. You know, it's the typical mummy with a curse on it, but in this case, the mummy with a curse on it ends up in an antique store in New Carlisle, Ohio, and this young couple buys it because they think it's really cool, and then the curse happens and mayhem ensues, and it's absolutely bizarre and ridiculous.
Oh, it sounded like a documentary to me.
But it's out there. There was even a DVD put out. Unfortunately, the timing of it was such that I was not really able to be involved in a lot of the post production.
Oh,
So the DVD that came out was not the greatest. The company that did it did not do it. They didn't even do it in actual 16 by 9. It's,
Oh,
it's 4 by 3 with a 16 by 9 shape. Um, I would love to, we both would love to do a new version of it, like a Blu-ray or something with, with better quality. Um, and we have the master material to it, so we could do it. It's just he's in Ohio and I'm here, and we're both really busy, and we haven't had a chance to do anything
yeah,
with it. I keep telling him you need to get it on like a Tubi or something.
yeah,
It would be in good company, and it would look better than a lot of the films that show up on Tubi.
yeah. Well, it sounds interesting. I might look for the DVD anyway.
Yeah, good luck finding it. They are out there. I'm actually kind of happy that I never see one show up at a thrift store.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing, I guess. Um, yeah, well, I have a couple other questions and then I'll let you
Okay.
go. Um, I think about what the future for old movies is, and that's something I talk about a lot on this show. So, what do you think is going to happen down the road in terms of preservation?
Well, um, as long as we can keep people interested in these old films, there will be people to preserve them. I think a lot of us, Library of Congress, George Eastman Museum, MoMA, UCLA, all of our cohorts out there, and our European friends too, are doing amazing work saving a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of things that otherwise would not have been saved, it would never have been seen again, are now getting saved. And the nice thing is, I'm always so tickled to meet younger people, people in their 20s who are interested in seeing these old films because that means there will be an audience out there for them. And these people will move into positions of making sure that they get saved and that they get out and get seen. Because, of course, the big thing is there's no use in saving the stuff if it doesn't get shown somewhere.
Right,
And that, of course, was a big problem for the longest time is a lot of the archives were saving things, but they did not have a good mechanism for getting them out there and getting them seen.
right,
Now we do. We're doing it ourselves. Like I said, we have a theater here in Culpeper. We run films every weekend. They're free. We're showing films at the library up in Washington. We're now starting a series with the National Gallery of Art. We have a big film loan program, and we loan out around the world to all sorts of different venues. And the one thing about our program is we don't charge anything to rent to borrow a film. The only charges come if there's a copyright on it, and they have to pay Warner Brothers or Sony or
right,
whoever owns the rights to it. But we have lots of stuff that is public domain, and basically they just have to pay shipping if they're borrowing a print. Or if they're borrowing a digital copy, they may not even have to do that. There's ways we can just send them a digital copy.
right.
So, like I said, a lot of stuff is getting out there to get seen that has been unseeable. And things like, well, as you know, Capital Fest.
Yep,
We're coming up with, and I got to get back with Art next week about things for Capital Fest. We're already finding some interesting things to show there. We always have something great. And of course, Nitrate Picture Show. We've got things that are going to Nitrate Picture Show this year that I think people are going to just flip over. And even the Orphan Film Symposium. I'm going to that this year and doing a thing about films made by and for the state of Ohio called Ohio the Buckeye State. So we'll see if that's interesting.
yeah,
But I think, if the trick is those of us who are in this game and older need to really hone in on the younger people and make sure that they understand the importance of what they are getting themselves into.
right. Yeah, I just hope there continues to be an audience, and that's something that worries me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, yeah, the report last week that film professors are saying that their kids can't sit through a feature anymore.
oh, I hadn't heard
That's not
that, but
good.
no,
Yeah,
it's not.
they're having a problem. They assign a film for their class and the kids can't sit there for an hour and a half and watch it.
Oh God,
And I can think of, yeah, there's lots of things. I saw my first Bela Tarr film a couple weeks ago, called Damnation. It's amazing. But as I was watching, I'm like, this, there's so many people who could not sit and watch this film. because it's so paced, it's so slow. But that's what's so amazing about it, you know. So, and it would have been a film that we would have seen in college.
Yeah, I guess we were born in the wrong time, and just because we have attention spans, we don't fit in.
No,
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Time Machine app to come out. Maybe we can go back to 1932 and hang out. Well,
yeah,
anyway, I don't want to end on a pessimistic note like that, but I do want to ask you. Oh, well, I know that among other things, you're going to be at the Ambler Theater, which is in my neck of the woods, and you're
yeah.
going to be part of the 35 millimeter film festival again there. So,
That's I don't know if I'd say it's if it's not my favorite film festival to go to, it's one of the top three because it's so genuine. I just love it. The people there are great. The films they show are great, and it's so low key, and it's not sort of highfalutin. I mean, some festivals become, becomes a thing where people go to be seen rather than to see the movies,
yeah,
and I can't afford those anyway. But I love the Ambler because of the people who were there and the selection. I'm going to introduce Dames, which is one of my favorite uh,
yep.
Busby Berkeley films. Looking forward to that. And I know there's some other things there that I really want to see. So, and again, just to be at the Ambler and in Ambler and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's only about 20 minutes from me, so I'll be there. So I'll see you.
Yeah, and I'm I don't know. I was kind of seeing if maybe my family would want to come, and they have been invited. They will bring them too. But there's not a whole lot there that a 12-year-old boy would want or should see. Although he'd probably find female trouble very interesting, but no, no.
Well, maybe by the time he's 14, he'll be interested in Joan Blondell at least.
Yes.
Well, so aside from that, is there anything else coming up that you want to promote?
Uh, let's see. Nothing I can think of right offhand. No, no, not
Okay,
really.
good. Well, then, I shouldn't say good after you said you had nothing, but that was just a reflex. Uh,
We just keep on keeping on. I mean, we've got, like I said, they haven't made nitrate films since 1950, but we get new nitrate all the time. This collection that had Goose and the Automaton, that is one of 42 films that we are now working to get scanned. And we're going to later on this summer have a big show here, sort of a recreation of what one of the Frisbee shows would have been like. And hopefully, have the early films ready to show and play some Edison cylinders because Mr. Frisbee also had cylinder concerts along with his films. So give the people, show people what an early film show would have been like.
yeah.
And in October, we're hoping to plan. I've been talking to our curator because in October is the 100th anniversary of the first Vitaphone program,
Oh,
Don Juan. And we
right,
have Don Juan. We have available to us all the shorts that were shown with Don Juan.
right.
And I have on my desk an original program from Don Juan that I have scanned, and we're going to make duplicates to hand out to everybody. Now, of course, that's as long as, October, not like last October when the government shut down. It won't happen this year, we hope. And then we'll be able to do that.
Right. Well, there you are. So you did have something else to talk about.
I guess
So,
there's always something.
yeah. Well, I guess I can wrap it up there. But thank you. I know we've crossed paths occasionally and
Yeah,
just had brief conversations, but it's a pleasure to talk to you at length. Finally, we've never
indeed. And if you
never
ever,
had
if
the
for
chance to do that.
whatever reason, if you find yourself coming to this area to Culpeper, let me know and I'll get you in here and show you the actual vaults.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't get to the South very often, but I'll definitely see you in Ambler, and I'll see you in Rome, New York.
Indeed.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your
All
time,
right.
George.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a good one.
You
And
you
bye,
too.
everyone.
Thank you.